U.S. tech and finance giants to join Trump on second UK state visit. The boss of NVIDIA, the chip maker which has become the world's most valuable public company, is among the corporate chiefs lining up to accompany U.S. President Donald Trump on next week's state visit to the UK. Jensen Huang, the NVIDIA chief executive who has presided over the stratospheric rise in its valuation to more than $4 trillion, is expected to attend a state banquet at Windsor Castle hosted by King Charles during the trip. Sources said on Monday that Sam Altman, the boss of OpenAI, Larry Fink, chairman and chief executive of asset management behemoth BlackRock, and Steven Schwarzman, the boss of private equity giant Blackstone, were also expected to be among the attendees. Tim Cook, the Apple chief executive, has also been invited and may attend the state banquet, the sources added, while Jamie Dimon, the JP Morgan chief, is understood to be unable to make the trip to Britain because of existing diary commitments. An NVIDIA spokesperson said, "We don't comment on our executives' travel schedules." BlackRock, Blackstone, Apple, and JP Morgan declined to comment, while OpenAI did not respond to a request for comment. The attendance of figures such as Mr. Huang and, potentially, Mr. Altman will fuel expectations that a wave of corporate deals and investments in the UK will be unveiled during Mr. Trump's unprecedented second state visit. Closer collaboration between the two countries' nuclear power industries is expected to be one of the main focal points of trade-related discussions during the three-day trip, as well as artificial intelligence and the broader technology industry. Mr. Trump's visit will, however, come amid tensions over his tariff regime, with continuing uncertainty about the impact on British manufacturing sectors, including steel. There are also continuing tensions between the UK government and major drug makers over pricing, with the US administration pressuring pharmaceutical companies to slash the price of prescription medicines in the US. France's Macron taking a big risk in picking a loyalist to be his next PM. President Emmanuel Macron has moved quickly to appoint Sébastien Lecornu as France's new prime minister. The appointment comes almost exactly 24 hours after François Bayrou lost a confidence vote in the National Assembly, rejecting his bid to make £40 billion in savings and cutting two of the country's annual public holidays. Lecornu, 39 years old, is a Macron loyalist. He is the only minister to have served in all 8 years of Macron's presidency and ran his re-election campaign. Publicly, the outgoing armed forces minister is a serious figure, giving little away, but is said to be lively and engaged behind the scenes. He's known to be a wily political operator, despite his young years. By picking someone close to him, Macron is again taking a big risk. He's choosing from a pool of center-right politicians who've repeatedly failed to breach a National Assembly deadlock. This appointment will do nothing to cool tensions ahead of nationwide protests tomorrow organized by the Block Everything, Bloquons tout movement. It's a big snub to the socialists and left-wing who believe they have a mandate to govern. But Lecornu had a secret dinner with the far-right leader Marine Le Pen in 2024. He reportedly has their tacit approval if he takes the job, and this might be Macron's gamble. National Rally, Le Pen's party, is the largest in the parliament. If Lecornu can bring them on side, then he has a chance of breaching the divide and passing a much-needed budget with a deadline of October 7th nearing. Trump suffers legal setback in bid to fire Fed Governor Lisa Cook. Donald Trump's bid to fire a U.S. central bank rate setter has suffered a setback after a federal judge blocked the move. The president revealed last month that he was removing Lisa Cook from her post at the Federal Reserve on alleged mortgage fraud grounds. The move was widely seen by commentators as a bid to destroy the Fed's independence through the appointment of a new governor who would support his bid for interest rate cuts to boost the trade war-hit U.S. economy. Ms. Cook, who denies wrongdoing and any cause to dismiss her, was appointed to the Fed's board by former U.S. President Joe Biden. The board forms part of the panel that votes on U.S. interest rate decisions. She secured a preliminary court ruling late on Tuesday which found that the Trump administration's claims she committed mortgage fraud prior to taking office were likely not sufficient grounds for her removal. The White House has claimed she inaccurately described 3 separate properties on mortgage applications, which could have allowed her to obtain lower interest rates and tax credits. But U.S. District Judge Joe Cobb said, President Trump has not identified anything related to Cook's conduct or job performance as a board member that would indicate that she is harming the board or the public interest by executing her duties unfaithfully or ineffectively. The ruling, which could yet be appealed, means she can continue in her role while her own lawsuit proceeds. It could end up in the Supreme Court. Mr. Trump's demands this year that the Fed cuts rates have so far fallen on deaf ears as the central bank voting has shown too much concern over trade war-linked inflation. Prices have risen as higher import duties have been passed on. He has repeatedly called for Fed Chair Jay Powell to resign but retracted threats to fire him. The president may actually get his wish for a cut this month amid a deterioration in the employment market, also widely blamed on his trade war as hiring has slumped. The central bank, unlike the Bank of England, has a dual mandate to ensure maximum employment as well as keeping inflation in check. Any rate cut would be unlikely to extinguish the Trump administration's effort to influence monetary policy. The Fed's ability to set interest rates without regard to politicians' demands is critical to market confidence, let alone the central bank's ability to keep inflation under control. Ms. Cook's lawyer, Abe Lowell, said, "This ruling recognizes and reaffirms the importance of safeguarding the independence of the Federal Reserve from illegal political interference." UK internet user helps stop teenager launching deadly attack on Ukrainian school. A UK internet user helped police stop a teenager from unleashing a deadly attack on his school in Ukraine, the Metropolitan Police has said. The anonymous referral was made to the Met's Counter-Terrorism Internet Referral Unit on September 4, according to the force. It warned of an imminent attack being planned by an individual in Ukraine and was immediately passed to Europol to help alert local police. A day later, a 15-year-old boy was arrested at a school in Zakarpattia, western Ukraine, the country's Ministry for Internal Affairs confirmed in a post on X. The boy was a student at the school and was arrested with a knife in his backpack while he was live-streaming the incident online, the post revealed. It was accompanied by an image of the knife, phone, and rucksack seized by police at the scene. Commander Dominic Murphy, of the Met's Counter-Terrorism Command, described the intel and subsequent response as a truly remarkable piece of work. The swift actions by our officers alerting Ukrainian counterparts have helped to avert what could have been a potentially devastating attack at a school in Ukraine. It's all the more remarkable when you consider the incredible difficulties those in Ukraine are facing while fighting a war, but thanks to our collective efforts, lives have almost certainly been saved, he said. He urged people in the UK to report anything suspicious they see online to the Met's Internet Unit so they can work with international partners to thwart other potential incidents. Man arrested for allegedly living in crawl space of Oregon housing complex. A man in the U.S. has been arrested for allegedly living in the crawl space of a property without the owner's permission. Benjamin Bucher, 40 years old, was found at an apartment complex in Clackamas, around 16 miles south of Portland, Oregon, on Wednesday night. Clackamas County Sheriff's deputies investigated after a witness reported seeing a man who was not known to live in the complex parking his car and walking to the back of one of the buildings. The door to the crawl space was open and light was coming from inside before the door was closed, the witness said. Officers, who were tipped off shortly before 11 p.m., found the door to the crawl space was damaged and locked with an extension cord running through a vent. No one should be there and there should be no lights on inside, the owner told deputies, adding that strange noises had been heard coming from the crawl space before. After finding the owner's keys to the crawl space did not work, officers forced their way in. Inside they found a man, identified as Bucher, who appeared to have taken significant steps to improve the conditions of the crawl space and was obviously living inside, the sheriff's office said in a statement. A bed, lights, chargers, TVs, and other electronic equipment were plugged into the home's power supply. Deputies, who believe he had been living there for an extended period of time, found a pipe with white residue that tested positive for methamphetamine. Bucher was charged with burglary and possessing methamphetamine at Clackamas County Jail on Thursday, where his bail was set at $75,000. Leopard spots found on rock on Mars are clearest sign life once existed on red planet. Leopard spots found on a rock on Mars contain the clearest signs yet that life once existed on the red planet, NASA has announced. The space agency said analysis of the unusual markings by the Perseverance rover has revealed they contain minerals that on Earth can be a byproduct of microbes. Scientists can't rule out that the spots were caused by natural geological processes. But Nikki Fox, Associate Director of NASA's Science Mission Directorate, said after a year of pressure testing the evidence, it still points to a biological origin. This finding by our incredible Perseverance rover is the closest we've actually come to discovering ancient life on Mars. We're really excited about that. But it's a signature, a leftover sign. It's not life itself, she said. The tantalizing evidence was laid down in the rocks more than 3 billion years ago. At the time, Mars was covered in lakes, rivers, and perhaps even oceans. The surface water vaporized into space when the planet lost its atmosphere long ago. The Perseverance rover has been exploring an ancient river delta in the Jezero crater since it landed in February 2021. The 3-m-long robot has been taking detailed images of the surface, collecting rock samples and analyzing material with onboard instruments. In July last year, it came across a rock NASA named Chiava Falls that lay in a canyon once carved out by water. Comprehensive analysis of the leopard spot-like markings on the rock, and others that resemble tiny black poppy seeds, has revealed minerals containing iron, phosphorus, and sulfur. Evidence points to these being caused by chemical processes associated with microbial life. The only way of being sure is to bring the samples back to Earth. But Donald Trump's cuts to NASA's budget have forced a rethink of its plans to launch a joint retrieval mission with the European Space Agency. Sean Duffy, the acting NASA chief, said, "I've been given an ask for spending a little less money. I think we can do that. I know we can do that. But I've told the team at NASA, if we don't have the resources for the right missions or the right people, I will go to the president, I'll go to Congress, I'll ask for more money." If further scientific analysis does confirm microbes once existed on Mars, then we'll know life on Earth isn't unique. According to NASA, every star in the night sky has an average of one planet orbiting around it. And with the right conditions, some could also be home to life. Perhaps even intelligent alien life.